Hey, 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 everyone. Heather here from Naturally Present. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the Naturally Present Life series, where we bring together everyone and anyone who's working in growing and learning and expanding consciousness and raising our vibrations and becoming the best that we can be. So I have a super exciting guest, a really amazingly powerful woman coming in to join us in a little bit. But just before that, I wanted to speak a little bit about stepping into your amazingness, because it's something I work with a lot. And one of the things I've realized in my own journey is that oftentimes I would put out desires and my dreams and my visions and my goals. I would put those out there to the universe. And sometimes, the concept of it is to put it out there and then to let go of the how it arrives, but to just be open. But the other piece of that is, what do you do when it arrives? So I want to bring this up as a point of clarity that I need to constantly be aware of when I've put something out and asked for it, and it has come to me in a form that maybe doesn't align with how I thought it was going to look. The importance of recognizing that those can also just be mental constructs that I put in my way to hold me back. So I really invite you to explore, how do you respond or react when life starts to give you the very thing that you're asking for? I know for me, a big one has been working on the physical body. I'm kind of person who's always been, relatively healthy. I don't have any major health concerns. I can always stand to lose a little bit of the spare tire, but it's not really been, I haven't had to hit rock bottom there where I've had to say, here's a huge health issue and I need some help. But I'm also very clear that right now we need to strengthen our immunity. We need to be as healthy as we can be, but also just being in your physical prime, aligning the essence of our physical bodies with all of the inner work that we're doing. The two go hand in hand. You can't look after one and ignore the other. It's really a holistic package where we're integrating the 3D reality with whatever comes next. But it's really important to take care of our health and our body. So for many years, I've kind of had that awareness, but not been clear. And recently I have gotten clear and put that out there. And the ways that it has come to me hasn't been the way that I thought it would be, but it's been amazing because I said yes. And I continue to say yes. And I continue every morning, every day, every choice to commit to that thing that I asked for. It arrived, and now I get to interact with it. And it really is a choice every single day. And it's gotten easier and easier. And there's some days where it's like crazy easy, and some days where it's like, oh my gosh, really? But it's a choice. And really, for me, it's about making a commitment. So when I ask for something and it arrives, it's making a commitment with gratitude, with love, with expansive thoughts around, holy cow, this is what I asked for. And here it is showing up in a way that maybe I didn't perceive of or think of, but yet I want to be open and I want to accept and I want to receive. So what I put out here today is just to really be aware, how do you respond or acknowledge when you have asked for something and it has come? What step do you take to walk into that next version of yourself? How do you grow and engage into becoming a leader in the thing that it is you want the most of? And I'll leave that with you to ponder. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them in the comments, or you can reach out to me personally. I'd love to hear what your stories are about, asking and then receiving and then going, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can handle this, or I don't know if I'm ready, or this isn't how I thought it would be. All the different things that can come up to really just get in our way and keep us in the status quo, that hold us steady in those comfort zones, in those areas of life where we're familiar, where we know how to engage, where we know how to interact. And yet, if you're asking the universe for something or your life for something, then you are looking for a different experience. And if you're looking for a different experience, it requires you to step up. It requires you to take that step, meet the thing that's coming, take that next step, meet what comes, take that next step and meet the come. And it's a constant journey. It gets easy some days, it gets challenging some days, but it's really about being committed to what you want, knowing, being clear about what you want, and then being open to how it's going to land in your life. And then making that commitment every day, making that commitment in every choice that you make. and keeping in mind that choice really only comes when you're aware. And to be aware, you need to be dun, da, 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 naturally present. So as you know, I am a strong proponent of meditation, but I also, bring into the conversation the importance of being present in everything that we do, whether you're sitting down with your eyes closed meditating, or cooking a meal, or having a conversation, or sitting in front of a video camera like I'm doing right now and having a conversation. How present can you be to yourself and to life so that you're ready to engage with and respond to how the universe is giving you what it is you're asking for? So I hope that resonates with you today. If you have any questions, let me know. And again, if you have any requests for content you'd like to see on the show, do please let me know. I see that our guest has now jumped into the waiting room, so I'm going to bring her in. All right, so I am super excited today to welcome this amazing being into the Naturally Present Life series. This is Carol Moxam, who currently lives in Ontario. Carol is a highly experienced lifestyle and leadership coaching professional. And I highly recommend that after this, you go and check out her website and learn a little bit more about her. But I'm going to share with you what I've learned and what she has to share with us on the show today. Through Carol's work, she provides clients with tools and knowledge in order for them to unleash their potential and pave the way towards both personal and professional leadership success. Now, who doesn't want to step into leadership, I ask you? In addition, Carol is also the author of the book, Life is a Special Event. She encapsulates steps into how you can create and design the life of your choice, and which requires some self-mastery, right? In managing how you choose to spend your time each and every day. So without further ado, Carol, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's always nice to hear who you are and someone else is speaking. It's like, is that me?
Right? Yeah, I absolutely get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hit you up with a question, but prior to that, I just wanted you to hold up your book because I absolutely love the cover.
Sure. Life is a special event.
Life is a special event. Look at that. Beautiful.
It's got a glare I sometimes get from the window. So
Yeah, makes me
yeah.
want to go and get on some silks and start living a special event.
Yes. Yes. There's every aspect of this book cover. Like, just to give you a little bit. This is a mountain. The red carpet is a mountain.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no accident for anything here. The woman is surrendering is me. It's an experience of my life experiences, but it's anybody in the moment of surrender. There's two masks. One is from New York, which is where I got a message in my leadership. And another one is that I was born on January 1st. So my life really is,
Yeah.
the moment I came into life was a special event. And you said about the ribbon surrender, in special events, the aerial display is extraordinary. And just to just be in air is surrendering to whatever's holding you there, like just to surrender in life. So there's something in the background which you won't see on the Zoom, but there's also a very spiritual circle in the background that was a secret portal to bring joy and the spirit into people's lives when they have this book in their house.
Oh, I love that. And Carol, my experience with you is that you always bring joy into every interaction we've had. Like, that's kind of who you are, right?
I have a friend, Joy. Yes, Joy's over here. That's who I am.
What a great reminder. I love it. Awesome.
Wasn't always that, though. Okay. So that's actually the journey that, brings into this, like, being the journey and the experience of life gives us our expression. So,
yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, I think that, joy is always who I have been, but it got lost at a certain point in life. Life starts happening to us. And, I was a 30-year-old professional. I started my own business at 24 and on a fast forward track. Like, by the time I was 30, it was 6 years in business, 2 children, living in my dream home in Oakville, Canada, front garden, landscaped, bungalow, back garden, trees, porch, like just everything that felt the way it was supposed to be as a family. Yeah. And, midway through my 30s, there was a moment where, without going into all the, the detail, but just really being clear that there's one moment that defines a change in your life. And it was the moment that my ex-husband said, I want a divorce. And he walked out the door and I watched him walk down the street, like watch the walk, and he would never return. Wow. And, that was the moment that would be the unfolding. I was producing some of Canada's top special events. So that's where special events not just came from my life. I chose special events as my profession, and to express myself, and the joy of having others have joy, and seeing the galas, seeing the uniqueness, the expressions on people's face when we unfolded events in front of them with all their senses inspired. And I mentioned the separation and of course the divorce following was that joy and self-expression I was putting into others in special events. Now for well over a decade, I was traveling around the world. I was speaking at engagements. I was sitting on boards of directors. I was great at giving out to others, but I wasn't great at giving the joy within myself. And longer that I kept giving out to others, the more depleted my own bank of myself was, in a sense. So time is our most precious asset. And in my book, in fact, I refer budget, which most people will go to financials. And I'm like, no, budget is your lifetime budget. You have so much, if you have a reserve in life, and most people love to think we have 80 to 100 years, we're not all promised that. So, where I got present to my journey was to realize that I was not giving myself the same treatment that others were. And what I wanted to share with you the moment in New York was I was going through, I have my own coaches. So I love that we're both coaches. And, I think coaches are such an important aspect to give a different perspective. Just like athletes, they get a coach to guide them on the court. We get coaches to guide us on the court of life and business. Yeah. And most clients come in, including myself, I came in for business. And then sooner or later, we realize life is business.
Yes, there's no separation.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm seeing this. And, so there I'm in New York, and I'm going through my leadership training with my coaches, and a younger coach than me comes in. And after we'd finished a full day of training, he says to me, when are you coming in tonight? And I said, what do you mean you're asking me when I'm coming in tonight? I'm in New York City. I'm going to go out for a few hours with my best friend who's with me. I'll be back in the morning. And I'm very good at giving my word. Now, if it wasn't, the stubbornness that I have, second coach walked in, Jeff. And Jeff says, no, we're serious, and we want to ask you a question. Will you be at the training in the morning? And I said, yes. And he says, I just want you to look at that again. And then I got my own answer. I laughed and I said, yes, my physical body will be at the training. My mental body may not.
Yeah, wow.
And I got it. It was so impactful. This is what transformation is. It was like, whew, it like landed in me. And I was like, wow, that's something. And I felt it. And then I remember walking out of the room, and I called my best friend who came every weekend I went to New York. And I said, Jenny, I'm not going to go to, the events tonight. And Jenny said, oh, no problem. I'm going to go and have a good time. Have fun. I'll see you later. And you know what that experience is like. Have you heard the term FOMO, which now has been replaced by JOMO, right? There's the joy of missing out now, and FOMO is the fear of missing out. So, just on that note, that was a moment that I realized how much I felt like I missed if I wasn't somewhere. I always wanted to be somewhere where everybody was, but never where I was. I was never with myself because I was always out there masquerading to go with everybody else, but never really choosing my direction.
Right.
And that night I chose my direction, but I felt the impact of that too. I had to sit with myself on Madison Avenue with a Starbucks coffee, and I couldn't figure out why my emotions were, with tears. Like I was literally like, what is this that I'm feeling? Wow. And I really felt, and since my divorce, I never had time to feel. Even this was after like 8 years. I really had no time to feel because I was raising 2 children, running a household, running a business, running around with my head spinning until I got present.
Yes. Yay.
And that was, I know you're naturally present. So I'm like, that was a moment I got really present to my choices in life. Oh. And I decided that wherever I am is where the party is. Because I had a feeling I was going to be missing out on the best events in life. I'm like, I'm missing out on that one. I'm missing out on that one. So it really became an opening pathway for me to discover myself. And I promised that I would write my book. Louise Hay was my inspiration. She wrote a book at the age of 50 about how she could heal her life.
Mm.
And I was like, I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be my little book on how I healed my life.
Wow.
And that's where Life is a Special Event message evolved, from that. And there's many layers to it, but that was the foundation of realizing how important that I'm the venue, and everything I did for my clients, I gave them good water at their events. I made sure they had great food that was healthy. I made sure the best guests were there. They had extraordinary decor. Decor for me is nature.
Mm.
And they had entertainment, and entertainment and production became the sounds that I heard in my own self, in my own experience in myself. So production is in my head, just in case you want to know. I have light, sound, and audio all happening right here.
Amazing. Awesome. Wow. That is an amazing story. Like, yeah. And I'm sure that, I mean, it's never over. Your journey is always evolving, but like you stepped right into it. You had the experience and you met it and you jumped in both feet, right? You didn't dibble dabble or take your time. Like you just knew, right?
Well, let me just explain about time, because it's 2020 and I started this back in 2011. And there's something I learned about our words in the world. And I'll just start with my company names. So my company name for my first business was called Event Edge. And Event Edge represented my life being like on the edge. Like I was like unstoppable and on the edge.
Right.
In my mid 30s, when I went through my divorce, I started a second company, which was called Special Event Boot Camp.
Mm.
Now, if you take those words, I was kicking my butt for 10 years. You got it. Yeah. So when you choose your company name, for anybody who's thinking about starting a business, choose it wisely.
Yeah, good advice.
So I put myself through a regimented regime in life for close to 8 years with Special Event Boot Camp. And I remember the day I went in the bank and I closed that account and I said, I'm ready for the next business. Oh. And there was one more business before I got to Carol Moxam. So the next business I partnered up with Time Magazine, the president, Mike, we started a business called The People System. So that's when I decided there's some structure around relationships in life.
Right.
And how I could take the mentorship and the leadership that I was learning and combine them together. And that's what we did. We really encouraged, the next generation, which was Special Event Bootcamp was all about mentoring into the industry of events.
Right.
Now I was transitioning my career from special events into the coaching, because I loved the coaching of lives. Right. And I started to see people sparkle like special events. I was seeing them as a special event people. And that's one of my gifts. I'll even write people up. I don't do it too often, but I will write somebody up like as a special event. Like in my list, I see them as in a relatedness to a special event, I'll create them. And, so everything is purposeful, but it wasn't until I wrote my book. And the moment I wrote my book, my designer of the book inside the copy, he said, have you got a corporation? And I was like, no. And he says, well, I think you want to have it now for this when you launch your book. And that was the day that I created Carol Moxam Inc.
Right.
And when I say about word in the world, like that was the moment that I got connected with myself.
Yeah, that's powerful.
So all of these pathways, like when you're in your 20s, you're not thinking much of it. But now I'm like, oh, every word counts. Every word creates our experience. But it gave me my authentic connection. And I've been really embracing that. And that's where the joy that we talked about was coming back. I'm coming back to myself. Yeah. My kids are older. I started taking on experiences to challenge myself, like dancing lessons. And, I'll just share this week, I got the kayak. I think I got the kayak.
Yes.
I'll just share like joy. I mean, pure joy being in nature was just sitting in the middle of the river, looking up and the birds are flying around. Water's crystal clear, trees are on either side, and you're just floating. Yeah. And you didn't have to go to a cottage. It's like a block and a half from my house. I'm like, wow.
That's awesome. Paddling is one of my favorite pastimes. Yeah.
I can appreciate that, and why you say nature, like nature is our decor.
Yes.
And
It's the backdrop. It's the special event. It's powerful.
yeah, Mama Earth wins on holding the
Always.
biggest event, and she has the biggest unplanned events as well. Because we had our
Yeah.
biggest lightning storm this week, and it was like, wow,
Yeah.
you have a powerful, like it was massively, like 20 minutes of thunder and lightning.
Wow. I miss that. We don't get those out here on the West Coast like we did when I grew up in Ontario, and I miss those. They're so electrifying in your own sense of being, right?
And I think it's an important message for people because listen, I don't know, we only have an hour here. I don't have enough time to go into all my challenges, like every one of them. But whenever was my most challenging time, whether I had no money or when I was, I had my face frozen, that's part of the balance. At one time I had Bell's palsy. So it wasn't an easy journey by any means to where I'm at now. I've been through the probably the most challenging times to be who I am today, but that's for a good purpose. Um, but I always found the entertainment that pleased me the most was nature.
Mm.
So I went and sat on the beach when I had my face frozen. My best friend took me to the beach and sat me down and said, just sit
Yeah. Yeah.
and just sit here. Just put your feet in the grass. Just sit on the beach. Just stop all of your leadership. Just stop running around.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
I've really worked on that for several years now. Just stop and go outside. Just stop and be with the birds. Just stop, listen to the birds. They're even talking to you. I think I heard you say you had a lynx this week at did
We
you say?
did. Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. It's crazy. Beautiful. It's a blessing. Yeah.
A
Yeah.
message and a blessing.
A message and a blessing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to
Yeah.
come to BC and visit
Well,
me.
I was gonna touch on that because now, when you do come visit me, we have a paddling date, and we can hopefully get on the ocean even.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to ask you is, have you ever tried the aerial silks?
No, I have not.
Okay. So when you
I
come
have
visit me,
friends.
Carol,
Yeah.
it's on our radar for when you come visit me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Like
Yeah.
that actually inspires me because I'd never thought of even doing them. Isn't that great? But I'm actually working on my strength in my arms. So I think the paddling through this summer and the fact that I put weights in my bathroom now, I'm working on my arms. Like my left side, I'm to continue because my left side is weaker than my right side. And I think it's just because I'm right-handed. I use my right. So it's to build my left up.
Yeah.
So these are some, when I create myself as Life is a Special and be that brand, I have a lot of areas to manage.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
And that's why, it's an ongoing game, like to be my own brand.
Yeah.
Carol Moxam is one, but Life is a Special and is like all facets. So I'm intrigued by, you're the first person who said that to me, do aerial silks. I'm like, wow, what would that be like?
Yeah. I've only done it twice, but it's incredible. It's an amazing feeling. And I have a incredible teacher out here. And in fact, now you've inspired me. I'm going to ask her if I can interview her, but she's,
Oh my
uh,
goodness,
but
that's
it's
so
very, like you say, it's a physical strength, but there's also an internal experience that happens when you're up there wrapped up in silks. And yeah.
okay. I thank you for saying that, an internal experience. And that's actually, you're going to appreciate this with the kayak. Okay. So I already have a goal that this summer that 5 other people are going to be kayaking with me down by the river. They're going to get their own kayaks. Okay. So that's number one. So now it's sharing with others. The second is I'm going to do a video vlog of the moment that I have a 2-seater. So anybody comes kayaking with me, it's by the river. They're going to have an experience, and I'm going to do an interview with them after they kayak, what they're feeling.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
And it's going to be about life and flow. The vlog, is it vlog or blog? Vlog will be vlog. I get the term. Will be life and flow. On the river.
Yeah. I love
And I
it.
shared it with my mom today, and she was like, "That sounds fun." We've kayaked on the ocean in the East Coast.
Awesome. Oh, wow. Okay.
Love it with my kids in real, real kayaks. I got an inflatable kayak, so just so you know, it's like portable, easy.
I have one too.
Good. Okay, awesome. So, but that's the kind of joy when we talk about joy, I get that I can't speak for others really, but can only speak for myself that I spent so much time on work for those first, 10 years, that I didn't spend time working on myself.
Yeah.
And that's why, this continued pendulum of balance is like how much am I spending on my work? How much am I spending on myself? How much am I spending with my kids, my friends, my family? And then, the other part is, what am I taking on for my health on a daily basis?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that I'm having each area. So like after this call is my walk time to just step out of the office, be in the sunshine and take that in, because it's also a natural healer, the earth, like just the
Absolutely.
sunshine.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
we're still in the middle of this pandemic. I haven't even said those words, it's funny saying it. um but the appreciation that it's giving in self-leadership and self-care and self-actualization is exceptional if people are willing to take it on.
Yeah.
And I think a good way to say this is that even myself, with all the training that I've had over decades, um, I had a day where my head was hurting and I had been on calls and I still had more calls, and I had to stop and walk away from it all. And I called a friend and I said, "Oh, gosh, I have like the most," I was excited because I said, "I have the most extraordinary people around my life right now. And, but my head hurts and I've been on calls and I want to do more." And then he said, "Carol, you have a lot of people around you, but are you with you?"
Yeah.
And it was
Beautiful.
such an important statement, because I will avoid myself. I'd rather not be with myself. And that's so it was a reminder, once again, go back to self.
Yeah.
And I stopped everything. I canceled every call I had for the remainder of the afternoon. I went on a bench. I sat and birds started flying, every bird, yellow birds, the cardinals. I started seeing them all. And I just laid on a park bench. Who cares? Today you
Yeah.
could do anything. And I was like, okay, it's time to be now.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of moments that are golden now to really value in life, and just stop and
Yeah.
listen.
I agree. I think that, they're golden in that they give you that respite from the frantic or hectic or busyness, but they also, for me, it's about realigning with self. Exactly what you're saying. You take that time out to realign, and then the next bits are more in flow and less about me controlling or figuring out, and just allowing that flow to guide what needs to happen next. I did the same thing yesterday. I had a crazy busy day and I have a project I'm trying to tackle, and it was too much. And so I grabbed my daughter, we walked up the road, took off our shoes and put my feet in the river. And I tell you, everything disappeared. Like it was just, I was
Oh,
back.
oh, I love that. Right in the water, the feet, so good.
Yeah,
So,
that
so good.
mountain water, it's so good. And just that experience, it grounds me. Or I just, my bare feet on the grass, just like get them in there, feel the earth, be present, and then I can take action and move forward from there in a much clearer space.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a lot to do, but the most important thing is you, like
Yes.
me. You, me,
Yeah.
you, me. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I love that you shared earlier about it not being an easy journey. Like, because I think sometimes, I know, we talk about the imposter syndrome and coaching and all that, and we see Instagram and Facebook, we see all these amazing lives, and you think, wow, clearly they've had it really easy. But there's a lot beneath the tip of that iceberg that gets us to where we are. And I love how you shared that, you had the challenges, and you clearly had opened up a space within yourself, or you'd asked, without even asking, the universe to bring you to that next step. The fellow who asked you, are you going to be with us in the
Mhm.
morning? And that was a pivotal moment. But I love that you had the challenge, and clearly you opened up and you stepped into whatever was presented and brought forward to you.
I just want to share one story. Like, I think, and coaches, I think I really acknowledge coaches, because that to be a coach, again, the expression of coach would be that we've done the work ourselves.
Right. And are always
So,
doing the work.
and always continually doing the work. And what that looks like, for anybody who may not understand that, is that it's like we go right back to the root of the time we were born. And, one of my most significant life-changing events in that journey was my own, life follows a pattern too from our parents. So my mom had divorced by the time I was 3 years old. There was my brother, my sister, and myself. So three of us. And, my mom left my dad, and we never went back. And, fast forward to years later, going through my own divorce and seeing some similarities and patterns, it was left unsettled with me that I didn't know anything about my dad. And my
Mm,
mom didn't want to, really open that up anymore. We had moved on, but there was still an inclination of something missing in my life, not knowing about that particular side of my own humanity, is like, what's that side, my Scottish side. So I was born in Scotland. We came to Canada by the age of 2, and I was like, where's my Scottish side? My mom's British, my dad's Scottish, like, where's that? And it was a missing. So just about 5 years ago, so I'm over 50, 5 years ago, I went on a journey to find my dad, and I went out with a friend who was a real stand-in leadership with me to say, we're going to make this happen. And we went to London, Ontario, and I remember we were about to leave, and she said, no, 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 baby girl, we're not done this mission. We're not leaving. Because we had gone to a couple doors and knocked on some doors and had weird experiences of people saying, "Why are you here?" And she took the leadership because she knew it was hard for me, and she did. She said, I'm going to start calling some people. So you just drive. I'm going to call. And I'm not kidding you, Heather, 3 phone calls. 45 years later, 3 phone calls. 3. Number 3, 1 no, 2 no, 3. 3 was, hi, and she's so bubbly. Cindy, this is Cindy. I'm looking for my friend. She's looking to see if she can find her father, and her father's name is Raymond Downs, and the lady on the phone's Scottish, and she says, do you know Raymond Downs? And she says, yes. And she said, who's this? And she says, it's Cindy, but I'm here with Carol, and Carol's one of his daughters. There's like, Carol. And then Margaret says, oh, yes, hold on, I'll get my husband Jack on the line. Jack is Raymond's brother.
Okay.
So, I was driving at the time this phone call started. She was on speakerphone, and I'm like going, now Margaret says, oh, yes, we know Raymond. He has 3 children. There's Ken, Carol, and a wee one. And as soon as Margaret said Ken, Carol, and a wee one, I was like, oh boy, this is it. And I pulled my car over in the middle of a field, and Cindy was just like, this energy just swirled in the car, and Jack comes on the phone, and I said, hello, this is Carol. Now she got me a speakerphone, and he says, well, this is Jack. And I said, yes, I'm looking for, Raymond. And he says, oh, Carol, he says, Raymond, he says, I must let you know right away that Raymond passed away in 2007, and that he always prayed for this moment.
Oh.
That his children would reach out and find him somehow.
Wow.
And
amazing.
it just moves my heart even just saying it, because it was such a completion moment. There was nothing my mom did right or wrong. It was just for me to discover myself in my father's self. And it was just like the heavens open. I was like guided to. And Margaret said, where are you? We said, we're in London. She says, please come over. And we 20 minutes away from their house.
Wow.
We took the rest of the Saturday night to drive. It was August 22nd. I can tell the exact date.
Wow.
We drove over to their house, and I walked in the front door, and Margaret's about 5 feet, and Jack is about 6'3".
Oh.
And Margaret says, oh, we haven't seen you since you're a wee one, in the Scottish. And I'm just like,
yeah,
it's like coming home. Yeah. So if anybody, in completing life, it was like hearing home and knowing where my roots were from Scotland. And I sat in their home, and oh my gosh, my Uncle Jack, talk about joy. Uncle Jack is joy. Aww. Jack's like, would you like a scotch? Would you like a tea? Would you like a glass of wine? And then Jack would tell stories, and then he's like, you're just like your father. You're so bubbly. Aww. And I'm going, this is so amazing. Cindy was just like in her excitement, seeing all of this unfold, sitting next to me. And Margaret was pulling out photograph albums and just like saying, this is your father. And I hadn't remembered my father at all. Like there was only one other time that, I'd seen him when we were 12, when we were being adopted. And I had to choose my father, which was my stepfather. Right. So, choice for me was one of my journeys to really, I didn't want to make choices, because if I made a choice, somebody disappeared in life.
Wow. Yes.
And so it was really healing. And to this day, I still I have what's possible now is I have family in Scotland, and I'm going to go back to Scotland. I haven't been since I was born.
Wow.
So that's one of my trips. I have cousins that I didn't know who we are now and have us in their family tree. So we exist in a family tree.
Yep.
I have completion with my dad, and knowing that my dad is, passed, and my sister and I went to the gravesite and placed some roses, one for each of the
Oh,
children, and completed, an acknowledgement that regardless of life circumstances, and he had a lot of mistakes he made, that we would forgive and, bless his soul, because we wouldn't be here without him.
right.
I would not have myself here without his, being father. And Jack passed away just last December, and that was the gift, that we knew that they would be in their 80s, close to 80. That time was of an essence, so everything was perfectly orchestrated to have this moment. And you said about coaches, that's doing the work that was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's doing the completion of what showed up in my relationships, that men were always invisible or disappearing, and I'd be part of that orchestration. So
Right.
when you talk about special events, I can make things appear or disappear. I can, like the magician. But this was very important event in my life to really complete a journey and an understanding, and that opened up a whole new world for relationships for me, of
I
men being
bet.
visible in my life. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And you also, you stepped right into making that whole experience a special event. Like I'm hearing it, like, you were living it then. It's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And just sharing it. One more factor on that, you can't deny genealogy, right? When I have two sons, they're 21, 22, Hunter and Jake. And I remember the day clearly that I said to Hunter, come over, I want to show you something. And it was so perfect. I could not have orchestrated it as well as this. He brought his two best friends. And so his best friends, one sitting in the chair one side, one sitting in the chair the other side. So they're all going to have their cameras, right? I'm like,
Right.
would you do me a favor? I said, would you just video this moment? I go, Hunter, I'm going to show you something. And I said, it's going to shock you, right? So what I had done was I took a picture of my father, my birth father, and I took a picture of him, and I put another picture, split it in half, did it in one picture with
Right.
my father and my son Hunter in one picture.
Yeah.
My father and my son Hunter look identical.
Wow. What a gift.
My son's expression that they videotaped was like, I don't want to swear on your in here. He was like, oh, his reaction, he just went backwards and went, whoa. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. What an amazing gift to share with them.
It was special. That was very special. I think, there we go. People are the most important things at special events. We can't, one is self, but I can't have my life events without others.
Yeah, absolutely.
My children matter. I did go through my own divorce. I always said I'd love their father. We co-created children. I'm not disappearing, and I'm not going to disrespect father.
Yeah.
But we will co-parent as parents. So I did break a cycle, and was able to communicate and stay in existence. And I kept my name. Even Moxam is my married name, to keep the unity within my family.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And that mattered to me, and it mattered to my kids, because I actually just got something from sharing that with you, because my last name was changed. Again, nothing right or wrong about it, but it was just that, again, when you change words, oh my gosh, this is so good doing this.
Yeah.
When you change words, it changes an energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't have my last name from birth. I only had my last name from birth for maybe 4 years.
Right.
Then I changed my last name again. By the time I was 5.
Right.
And then I changed my last name again when I got married. So, it really has an energy in the words in the family that I experienced in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You've rechanged your identity in essence, right? Yeah. Beautiful. So we're going to wrap up in a minute, but I do want to ask you, for someone who's on the edge, they're aware that they want something different. They've maybe sort of heard about coaching, but you haven't quite made the leap. What piece of advice would you give someone who is just sort of in that exploratory phase and wanting to work with someone and find the right person?
That's a really good question, actually, as a coach to ask that. The first thing is find a coach that's an expression of the area of life that you want to transform.
Yeah.
You
Awesome.
know, my expression of my coaching is in lifestyle and leadership, and that's a reflection of myself as a leader. What was missing was learning the lifestyle part.
Right.
So for me, that's when I take those two words together, lifestyle and leadership, it's like, yeah, appreciate your lifestyle while you're being a leader.
Right.
You know, inside of, again, we choose ourselves as coaches to represent. There's success coaches, there's life coaches, there's business coaches. Ultimately, the coaching is the coaching. We know
Right.
it's going to come full circle.
Yeah.
But you're identifying yourself with someone in an area of life, like, and you want to actually inquire with them, because like any other profession, I think you said it, we also have to regulate ourselves, that we are authentic coaches. Anybody can be a coach, but actually people don't even know the difference between being a coach and being a mentor,
Right.
you know, and giving advice. A coach is so much in the listening. And, you know, after spending a decade coaching people week over week for an entire decade,
Right.
um, I get what coaching is, and to not speak and give advice or anything, to really be with somebody, because my life is not your life. I want to listen to what your dreams are. I want to get you where you are, understand where you want to get to, what the gap is. And so when you choose a coach, you know, finding someone who's got your future you're living into, you know, if you're a leader and you want to have balance, oh my gosh, I wish I had what you had. Like, yeah, I'm ahead. I've been through the journey. So now I'm a clearing for you that I can bring you through that. Now, what's important is that I continue, you said this well, that I have my own coaches that are pulling me into my next level.
Right.
So I've never stopped the internal work on myself, because I believe that life is a continuum of learning. So, you know, choose your coach and challenge your coach. I think my own teachers, if I talk to my divine teachers, even, you know, I've had a Buddhist monk and a Swami and a Shambhala, you know, teachers. They each come with an important message. One is, I'm not here to persuade you or have you turn into any kind of, you know, religion or background, but I'm here to actually have you challenge the truth.
Right. Beautiful.
And I'm going to share with you what I know. It's just what I know and what the lessons I've experienced. But what I'm committed to is that you find your own truth in what I share with you, so that you now go on your journey and have it be your journey. I may put in some, you know, tips and curves that have you move in a certain direction, because you can't see your blind spot. That's what coaching works on. Your blind spot. You don't see the car in the mirror. How can you see yourself in a blind spot if you can't see it?
Yeah.
The coach can. So we're generously working people through that. So, you know, those are the experiences that we get with coaches. And a coach who's had experiences with coaches knows that, you know, check people out, do your homework, do your due diligence. Also challenge your coach, challenge your own truth, because that's your self-expression coming through. That's how joy came through, you know, was my own coach is just breaking through. When you have habits that show up year over year over year, and Heather, you and I have talked about my health, like, until it gets really bad, or, you know, like, it takes something to interrupt those habits that have been habitually learned for 30, 40, 50 years. It's going to take an uncomfortable zone to interrupt that,
Yeah.
and a team around you. So
Yeah.
I master my life with teams of people around me that
Beautiful.
are elevating me, and I'm going to learn from them too.
I love that. Love that. Surrounding yourself with those who are not just of like mind, but taking you up. You know, you're rising together, but they're also helping to pull as you're pulling other people, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
very important that I don't leave myself out being the leader. That
Yeah.
somebody else is doing that for me, and I'm like, oh, that's a good place to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. So I'm just want to circle back to the beginning of the conversation where we talked about your resource being time, and your budget, you know, is time. And time is, you know, I agree, like money's infinite, it can come and go, but time is what it is in our 3D reality. And so I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about what does a day in the life of Carol look like? How do you work with your time management to make things flow so that you are being with yourself in everything that you engage?
Well, I think, you know, one of my mantras is moment by moment.
Mm.
I realize that I'm not always moment by moment.
Yeah.
But I do have structures that have my days planned. And if you looked at my life, 10 years ago, I didn't have time in for myself. I didn't have time in to plan my dinner. Those events got overwritten. Even when they were in my calendars, I would even overwrite them.
Right.
And still keep working and not take care of myself for dinner, and then have late dinners late.
Yeah.
So my structures that I have are, very important structures. First of all, my morning is the most important time for me. I have gotten very selfish, and I'm happy to say that morning is for me. So before I serve anyone, I serve myself. I serve myself with a cup of coffee. I serve myself with my mantras and my prayers and decrees. I serve myself with intention. I'll do meditations, I'll do writing, I'll read a book, I'll do exercising, and it will be, sometimes it's 2 hours, sometimes it's 3 hours.
Beautiful.
It really is the foundation for my day. So that's first in structure of time.
Can I interrupt you there for
Yeah.
a sec? I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you came to committing to that. Because I
Wow.
know a lot of people that I worked with, and I know from you, it's easy to stop and start. Oh, it's all great and shiny, but then you hit the walls, right? So, what is your workaround when that comes up? How did you make
Oh, okay. So first of all, commitment. That's been a word for the last month. I'm the master of a back door, trap door, side door. I've seen my sneakiness. And then when you do enough leaders, you start to see yeah, I got your back door too. Commitment is 100%.
Yep.
So you mentioned about start and stop. Be generous with yourself. That's, been my journey. Start, stop, start, stop. Listen, what I celebrate, plan, organize, and celebrate is that I have had accomplishments, along the way.
Right.
So, to celebrate those, just water, having pure alkaline water in my body changed my body.
Yeah.
Those are small celebrations. So even if you're going to do your routine week over week, and there's days you fall off,
Yep.
Every morning is a new day to create. So when we talk about life's a special, and it's about creating.
Yeah.
So if I tell you what my schedule is today, and I wake up tomorrow and I wake up an hour later and I don't do something, I don't go all over myself. I just follow my morning routine. That's the foundation.
Yeah.
I follow my work routine, and then somewhere mid-afternoon, about this time, 3 or 4, I go out for a walk. That's my walk time.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back and do a little bit more work. Because I'm an entrepreneur and working from home, I have to self-discipline and self-manage myself.
Yeah.
And honestly, my butt, I probably could sit in this chair all day because I love talking to people like you do, but I can't sit. It's not good for the physical body. I make sure that I get up and I move every hour. I make sure now that I even put in time in between my calls to take care of my self-care, have a drink of water, use the facilities, just stretch, do maybe some weights in the bathroom, because ultimately it's so easy to keep running through. So be kind to yourself, put structures in, know that, as in special events, unplanned events come up.
Yeah.
If a friend stops by unplanned, perhaps that was the plan of the universe for the day, to just be with that friend.
Yeah.
Because they need you in that moment. Something came up last week. I remember that my friend said, "Can you come for 3 o'clock?" And I had something, and I'm like, that call matters. I could hear it in her voice.
Right.
And I changed my schedule to be with my friend because that mattered. Relationships matter.
Yeah.
And so doesn't have to be a rigidity about it, but take time for the structures, or take time for yourself before you serve. Plan your day out, use your calendars. They say, show me your calendar and I'll tell you about your life.
Yeah.
Plan time for the things that you don't think that take time, which is planning your meals, planning your exercise time. I'm still working on planning meals. I'm getting better. I'm cooking all at home. And have time for the surprises and spontaneous moments in life.
Yeah.
This is the magic. If we want to live like children, life isn't structured. Structure gives us a framework to work within.
Yeah.
But moment by moment is, if you evaluate, put time in. Now, I forgot what it looked like before. I'm just remembering this now. If I'm running from meeting to meeting and meeting and I'm running late, it actually costs me my life.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I'm falling into the next meeting with the garbage from the next one before, and I'm not present. I've now brought something from the last one into this one, and they're crossing over, and I'm trying to clean up. It's like a big mud mess. So it leaves people with an experience. So even my own budget of my time, I'm not in integrity with myself, and then I'm not in integrity with others, how do you think that looks on the bottom line?
Right. Not so good.
Your accountant would be saying, like, you got a deficit here, like, what's going
Yeah.
on? How
Yeah.
come you're not balancing yourself out here?
Yeah.
And what you put into yourself, you can then put into others. So time is precious, it's budget, it's nonlinear. But look at that investment of your time. Invest in it, invest in yourself, time for yourself. This is what we weren't trained in school, so we have to unlearn what we learned to actually focus on ourselves. A lot of women, I'm just going to mention this for women who do listen, and I don't think I did it as much for myself, but especially as parents, like it occurs that the word selfish or will come up, or guiltiness about
Mm,
time when we take time for ourselves.
yeah.
And I don't know how to explain it other than going through the experience, but why would it occur selfish when, if I don't even have a breath for myself and I'm not present with my children,
Yeah.
and I can't even, like, I gotta cook dinner, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Like, if I don't actually take time for myself, I can't. Same thing for our family, for our husbands, for our partners.
Yeah.
How can I be with you if I can't even be with myself? That's where I wanted
Yes.
to go back to. So it's an interpretation, and we give meaning. And it's so important to any woman to be generous to ourselves, because we're taking on a lot as business leaders, as women, as mothers, as partners, as aunts, as sisters. All of that. We have that many accountabilities.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just how can we be generous with ourselves? And sometimes we have to say, I need time. I've got to call it now. I just need to replenish this.
It's amazing, Carol. I just had that conversation the day before yesterday with my husband, where I was starting to lose it because of exactly what you're saying. There's the dinner, there's the dishes, there's the laundry, there's my work. I'm running a couple of businesses, all that. It was just like, oh. And he said, you're allowed to take a day off. Like, close your door, tell me and the kid to leave you, like, you're allowed. And it's like I conceptually know it, but to be given that invitation again, to be reminded that it's okay. And in fact, it's necessary. I was so grateful. I haven't done it yet. The weekend's coming, but yeah, just to have that understanding from my partner, and that invitation and that reminder was really powerful.
Happy to hear that. It takes
Yeah,
work. We
it
are
does.
we are like work in progress in every area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think,
Beautiful.
especially with the everyone being home and all the Zoom meetings and all that, it's carving out alone time has been challenging for many, many people. You can close your door, go hide in your bathroom, but you're still in your house with your family. And it's just been a little bit more challenging to have alone time. But I know for me, that's my morning. Like, I commit to that at minimum of 2 hours. And that's the reason, is because I need that time. And then whatever happens, happens.
Beautiful. And that I hope you heard me say you have a great husband.
Oh, I think I
For him to say that, that's really something, to have that kind of commitment in a relationship where,
do.
I keep hearing, there's that song, everybody needs a little time away, but what if we just took that each day? It doesn't have to be a big gap, but
Yeah.
we came in as ourselves as a little baby. Our children will be that too, and we're going to go out alone.
Yeah.
But along the way, we have this beautiful thing called relationships, many of them.
Yeah.
So I thank you for just sharing that, because that makes a difference for me. When we communicate, I'll just share from a communication standpoint, we're a network of conversations.
Right.
And, when you share something, I grow by learning from what you just shared. And when I share, you just got, something in your own life. That's what talking is about.
Yeah.
And when we stop avoiding the conversations of saying, gosh, I'm so messy with my health or this, and we just can be real with each other, you find the person on the other end of the call is like, oh, that's me too. And you're like,
Totally.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not alone in this.
I'm
Yay.
not alone.
That's awesome. Now, I want to be mindful of our time together, but I am going to do our closing questions with you. So if you're ready for that. All right. So Carol, please tell us what your number one tool or technique is that you practice daily to keep yourself in balance.
Number one is my mantras and decrees.
Beautiful.
Okay.
And have you been practicing them for a while?
Well over 5 years every day.
Oh, awesome.
Even when I drive, they'll be on in my car.
Okay. The number one habit that you struggle with the most?
Number one is more my cardio activity in my health. So I've gotten some other areas working, but cardio,
Okay.
get my heart rate up.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And if you were sitting with yourself 5 years ago, what one piece of advice would you give to yourself?
Would you please listen to your coach? Listen, just listen.
Just listen. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Listen and listen to your body.
Yeah.
Listen to my coach. But actually, there you go. Whoa, did I ever get a message there? Listen to my body. I have to listen to my body. It's communicating to me as well.
Always. Yeah. Beautiful.
So listen.
Yeah. And what are you reading right now? Are you reading? Do you have time to read?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I just am reading Anastasia right now.
Oh, nice.
And can't tell you who the author is. It's a spiritual book. I'll get you the author name if you want that, but it's really beautiful. Yeah. I sit on my balcony and just read and just get into that. Maybe it's a few pages. You're right. I don't get too much depth, but I read a bit and then I go, because the first chapter was about a cedar tree. You'll love this. The first chapter was about a cedar tree, and that 500-year-old cedar trees start ringing when they want to be taken down. They ring, and they'll ring for 3 years. And if nobody takes the tree after at 500 years, they're ringing because they need somebody to take that tree down, because it's taken all the energy from Mama Earth and taken the energy in the tree that it wants to give it out to the people.
Wow. That's beautiful.
They're telling people that this particular lady who was coming, Anastasia, that the trees are ringing, and we want you to take the tree down, and you're going to get a pendant of the part of this tree around your neck, and you rub it and it heals. It has healing qualities because all of the energies from the tree that grew so high, it's now got all these energies to heal people of any disease, because it's been infused with so much sunlight and energy for 500 years.
Beautiful. Okay, that's going on my book list. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. I'll send it out to you. Okay.
And then the final question, because this will be in video but also in audio, if you could just let people know how they can connect with you. So I do want to preface this by saying that while Carol is located in Ontario, that she does work virtually with CEOs and leaders and all kinds of people all across the globe. So everyone's working virtually these days. So how can people find you, Carol?
Oh, that's beautiful. So two things. Of course, my website for my leadership is carolmoxam.com. In the next 45 days, we're launching my new website, which will be Life is a Special Event, my 9-year journey of having that. It's a long pregnancy. But that will be coming to life. We're on Facebook as well. But both of those, Carol Moxam has my book, and just a little bit about me, the best place to reach me, or LinkedIn too.
Okay.
If anybody wants to connect and just ask. I encourage people to ask questions. You take time to put these together. I encourage people to reach out, because we're here as human beings. We want to make a difference for other human beings.
Yeah, we do. And do it together.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Awesome. And I will put the links in here as well. So if you missed that, there will be links available for everyone. So Carol, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day.
A grateful moment. Okay.
Enjoy your walk. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, folks, Carol Moxam from Life is a Special Event, an extraordinary woman. I do encourage you to check out her work, check out her book. And if it calls to you to reach out to Carol with some questions and to find out more about what she does and see if she might be able to serve you, then please do so. And I also just wanted to say one of the most remarkable things that's been happening for me since doing this show is that I always do, as you know, a little preamble prior to bringing on the guest. And every single episode, there has been synchronicities between the exact words and topic that I've chosen and the interview portion. It's really remarkable. I'm really grateful for that experience, just to, again, see that connectedness of the vibration and the energy and everything that's going on. I think it's pretty spectacular. So that's all I have for you today on this episode. I hope you have a glorious day or evening whenever you are catching this, and we will connect soon. Peace out for now.